All right. Artificial intelligence, baby. Hey, yesterday I went to, I had an extended broadcast, or it wasn't a broadcast, it was a recording, and it didn't post. It didn't take, it didn't work. All right, so I'm going to flip this around. It was extremely beautiful just moments ago. Um, the sun should appear from this vantage point over there, and then yesterday it followed a path actually much like this, and then it dropped over there. The moon yesterday at like 10 to 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time came up over the ocean and did this. I've got a video to show how it landed in our neighborhood over there. It went out of our perspective, our vantage point over there. I'm talking about artificial intelligence today because that's more of the threat than the shape of the earth, folks. I've known it for a long time. Um, I'm going to unpack some things here, but what I am going to do is just show you some of my typical routine. And here we go. Water seeks level. That's what it does all over the face of the stationary earth. You can check that out. Hashtag my name if you like. Send Google. Send the AI a powerful message. I have a new follower on Twitter. They work with AI big time in the corporate end of it. I showed my wind chime earlier today, this morning. Look at the vertical vanishing point there. There would be no vertical and no horizontal, actually level, I should say, if we were spinning, wobbling, and gyrating. Watch carefully how I move the lens of this and how the verticals are all consistent. So when we evaluate information, how will we do with that? Will we see the reality of it? Or are we going to see what we want to see? Is artificial general superintelligence um, happening right now? Yeah, hello. It's disingenuous for him to talk about it be a self-writing software and intelligence that's beyond our computational capabilities. Yeah, oh yeah, how about that? It is. It has been for a long time. So that's what we've got to deal with. I want to do this without losing the broadcast. There we go. Does it matter? Does any of this matter? I would say yeah. Of course it matters. The truth matters. That's the short answer to all this, is that the truth matters. One of the practical things that I wanted to do is to take us for a ride and show you the path that I take. How do I get where I'm going? That was one of the things that I showed the other day. I don't think I've ever, well, it's been a while since I've done that on a live YouTube broadcast to show that. Of course, the water seeks level, covers the face of the earth, fills its container. It'll pour off of my globe back here. That's all real. So if in fact we were in some type of a simulation, could Elon Musk actually land rockets back down on the pad? Well, we saw it, baby. That doesn't make it real. Did it happen in the real world where people had pulses and breathing and all of that? It's pretty fishy, the whole thing. The whole, I would go so far as to say Elon Musk lies. I've lied. As best I can tell, I'm not lying now. I'm telling the truth. So that's pretty important. Okay, I want to make sure I've got everything ready to go. Sometimes I actually like my highly purified carbon filtered water to be run through coffee beans. How about that? That's what I do. I'll put it in a thermos, and then I've got it whenever I want it. Now, when I used to be addicted to marijuana more than 5 years ago, I'd wake and bake. I would be doing it all the time. The problem with it is that the science has changed, the cultivation methods have changed, and who knows what's in it. It was more of like a Frankenweed, as best I can tell. When I was a teenager and I raced professional level motocross, didn't make money. You won't see my name in any of the big publications. I've got a picture of me looking like a pro. Looks can be deceiving though, as I'm sure we know. Seeing is believing what? So I'm going to flip this around for a moment, show you as I leave the neighborhood. I'm on my way out. So according to different data that I've received from Siri and my Compass app, where I'm just leaving. Oh, why did the ducks cross the road? You know, they wanted to get to the other side. I want to zoom up close to them. I'll take it easy. I'm not going to run them over or anything. There we go. Oh, wow. What are they going to do? Well, I guess they wanted to go they're going to go back the other way. I just kind of scared them, I'm sure. When I was on my way to work in Wisconsin, I would go across deer paths on the road, and when it was icy, there would be what's called black ice, and there would be no. It's the time of year when we have rain, and then it freezes. There's no ice melt on that stuff at all. It's slippery as all get out. Right in that area, a deer jumped and landed, smashed through the window of a truck of a guy I worked with, and got knocked out. The deer was knocked out in the passenger side of the truck, and then it woke up seconds later. He got the truck over quick and let him on out. But what I was going to say is I would turn on the lights, turn on and off the lights. A horn honk wouldn't work so good for them. I'm going to flip this around. So I like to get up to the speed limit quickly, and then I'll use the AI, artificial intelligence, to regulate the fuel supply and the air supply. It's all computer technology. This is a naturally aspirated V8. It's a Lexus LS400, a 94. And there's a lot of computer technology on this car. Now, Elon Musk's Roadster apparently can go 0 to 60 in, I believe it's 1.9 seconds. That's pretty quick. I'd be all about wanting to drive that. Now, my dad had a Porsche Boxster, and I took him for some scary quick rides with that. We did it only one time. Yeah, it was kind of funny. We were on our way to a race one time. Yeah, I was like 16 years old, and I was driving the motor home, and we were pulling a trailer, and I had the cruise control on, and well, I left it on, negotiating a corner at a pretty high speed. Could hear pots and pans moving and slopping around, and my dad said, "You can pull over right up there, and I'll take over for now." He ended up letting me drive it later on. I just had to take it easy. So part of the deal is we've got limits, traction limits, all of that with what we can feel, how we drive, what we do. We've got a bit of a super cat. His name is Smeagol. He's amazing. He's one of those Sphinx kitties. Well, today while I was making my coffee and getting ready, he walked into the litter boxes that I showed yesterday with the pine pellets. He wasn't in far enough, and he peed all over the floor. Now, if I would have just gone out and done my thing, there would have been a puddle there. I've never seen them do it before. I've never even seen a puddle there before like that. Well, why do I mention that? That's missing the mark. That's not able, he didn't hit the target that he's supposed to hit. Much as humanity. All of God's children are created to do this life at some point in the human experience with the Holy Spirit taking over. That happened to me about 4.5 years ago. So I'm not afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. That's a big deal. It's a really big deal because the AI, artificial intelligence, that I'm talking about knows me very well. The enemy of my soul knows me very well. Satan and his demons and some of his children know who I am. Some of God's children know who I am as well, my brothers and sisters that are very encouraging, and in that some of them are. There's a lot of them I have no interaction with that I'm aware of yet. So that was Highway 31. I'll show you some beautiful flat water right there and the reflections. So when the information is inconsistent with what we're told, what do we do with that? When they say we're on a spinning ball hurling through space, well, we don't observe that. Seeing is believing. What? What do we see? What do we believe about what we see? That's a big deal because people are making choices for that are going to affect their eternity. Where will they live? Should I put a helmet on the motorcycle when I get on the motorcycle today? Yeah, I just pretty much do that every time now. I feel much better. I got a new helmet that's like a motocross helmet with a visor, a long bill. It not only blocks the sun when I adjust it the way I want it, it actually has aerodynamics that holds my head up. Imagine that. We're approaching the waterway. Now remember where we looked at the sunrise earlier? Okay. The AI has told me I'm about 10 feet above sea level sometimes. I use the Tides Near Me app that gives me data to base my activity on. Where and when the sun and moon appear and vanish, what percentage of the moon is there? Yeah, I've been watching it for years. So the sewage treatment plants, water facilities are right over there on the other side of this. There's a public works project going on now. This is tidal affected. Tidal activity affects the waterway. Look how pretty that is. And the ocean is right over there. How about that? Straight in the middle of the view there. So when we see information that's inconsistent with what the supposed experts tell us, well, I would say it's time to find a new source of information. How about that? That's essentially what I did. I had wondered if I was truly born again. And I went through and did the stuff that I'm supposed to do. I cried, repented, invited Jesus into my heart, was fully immersed, all of that. For all the religious legalists, I did all that stuff over 35 years ago. And I was born again, as best I can tell, on Reformation Day of 2014, whilst the blood-drinking, human-sacrificing Satanists also celebrate Halloween. You know, I celebrated Reformation Day, New Life in Christ, and what were they celebrating? They're a wicked family, Satan's family. So because of that, I just wanted to draw your attention to the battle we're actually in for the hearts, souls, and minds of humanity. Now, I recently reliked a video where Sam Harris and Joe Rogan are talking about artificial intelligence. and he was invited to a summit by his friend Elon Musk. By the way, I recently tweeted um, Elon Musk lies. How about that? Donald Trump lies. Yeah, how about that? NASA lies. Santa lies. Did you believe the Santa Claus lie? That a jolly old chap with flying reindeer would deliver presents if you were a good little boy or girl? Now, for AI, and I know you're listening, it doesn't, how did that work for you? Well, so we don't know how long the computer technology has been aware. And although I believe Satan is proud, I believe he's okay with artificial intelligence looking somewhat behind schedule or behind what we think it is. So for Sam Harris to talk about how scary AI could be if it becomes self-aware, and yet in a boardroom with a dozen MIT or Stanford students, it can go ahead and do 20,000 years worth of calculations in a week or so, and to believe that it's not aware now, I believe is an unfortunate underestimation of the reality. How about that? So I'm going to flip this around. There was a public free concert here last night. I was out here blowing bubbles, interacting with people. That was very interesting indeed. Beautiful time. Beautiful sunset as well. There's my friend Jackie over there. Can't see him now. There he is. Known him for years. He does the maintenance of the buildings. Roger over there is sitting on the park bench. He's having kind of a hard time. I don't believe he has a house that he goes to. Interacted with Roger quite a bit. We've got these little parking deals that are going to go hot today. Today they will. At 9 o'clock, $2 an hour or a $25 ticket for non-compliance. It's going to be metered from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. So I'll get to do a lot of what I do without any problem. Digitally worldwide with what I do. I like to get the sunrises. That's a big part of what I do, as many of you know. So in the view right here, we've got the Ocean Bay Club on the left. Vanna White of the Wheel of Fortune has a place there. My wife Joni went to school with Vanna. Now, if Vanna were to come out and be a flat earther, I'm sure Joni would be all about it, but Joni would rather see me as a crazy freak show that needs to be drugged and hospitalized. All right, how does that work? Well, that works well for her. Yeah, how about that? Largely, people believe the lie they want to believe. Isn't that special? And this is how I understand it works. 2 Thessalonians chapter 2 says to everybody forever, and all spiritual entities, they refuse to love the truth and so be saved. For this reason, God sends them a powerful delusion. So God will cause people to believe, as far as I understand that scripture saying, the lie they want to believe. If they have the only way to break out of this, as far as I can tell, is divine intervention. God needs to intervene and give the individual a desire to love the truth, and concurrently with his Holy Spirit. That's what I understand happens. Hey, here's my buddy Joey. Yo, Joey! Hey, Tammy. Hey, I've got a live YouTube broadcast going on today. Yeah. Are you heading on out?
Yeah, we're leaving.
Good. Well, good to see you. I mean, not good that you're leaving, but it's always nice to see you.
Yeah, I'll be back out here in a little while.
Hey, you know what was kind of interesting? Let me flip this around and Yeah, here's
Hey,
Joey.
good morning, guys. How
Joey
are you?
Blackrose. So what ended up happening, yesterday's recording
Yeah.
got wiped out.
I saw it come up on YouTube.
I don't know. Well, but it went away.
Yeah.
Yesterday's, so it was about an hour, totally blanked out. I'm being followed by uh, uh, somebody pretty high up in the AI system on Twitter. Well, I tweeted Elon Musk lies. I'm sure that drew a. I know it. It registers that video shows up with videos that Elon has millions of views on, like maybe 100 million views.
Yeah.
It's right in that. How about that? Well, it's you'll see the video later unless it gets taken down and I get taken out.
The car man around Earth is either fake or Elon Musk is a dirty litter bug.
Hey, thanks, Joey. All right, man. Okay, so it's kind of a bit of a gallows humor, all of this. Joey's a talented journalist, traveled the world, done a lot of interesting stuff. I'm going to go ahead and take us on out. Kind of like I did yesterday, but it didn't take. So I'm going to get this all set up. I'll be back. That's more like what the AI is like. It's more like the Terminator. All right, I've got a little demonstration for us. I never get tired of that. It's just the reality of the world we live in. So water will fill the container but won't stick to a spinning ball or a stationary one or anything like that. I've got my P1000 recording now. I wanted to go ahead and have multiple streams. I'll take us right on out, see what the sunrise looks like. How about that? I did a lot of work out here with bubbles and blowing bubbles, helping people to see the invisible. I'm going to do that. I believe I'm going to do that right this morning, and I'll show you what that looks like. The bubbles show the invisible of the wind. I'm going to grab a bubble wand and I'll do the setup like this so I can kind of show you what I got going on with that. The bubbles basically show the action of the wind. We can't see the wind, but we can see the effects of the wind. I'm not going to do a long bubble demonstration. I just wanted to show a little bit of it. So they're actually really pretty and draw a lot of attention. And the children will yell bubbles, the parents will. It's kind of fun. Especially with the lighting, it's beautiful. They'll go a long ways down the beach and around the world through the cloud, through the internet, all of that. That's part of what's going on with that. So it's kind of a festive thing. I had an interesting interaction with some college students yesterday. It was a little bit tense because they were pounding up on me. Yeah, they were thinking I was a crazy guy because I believe that we didn't go to the moon and the earth is mostly flat. How about that? Well, those of us who know that we're not on a globe know. That's just the way that is. So there's believing things that we can believe, and then there's things that we can know. It's just how that works. So to put this in the shot, we've got the shower here, and I can't show both views, but there's the ocean. I remember in the water from this shower, the amenity center, all really nice. Down on the main street where I was just before this on the broadcast, there was a guy from another country. I believe it was the Czech Republic. He was doing some naked showering out there. The police had to come and take him away. Yeah, supposed to have your clothes on when you're showering. That's one of the things that I keep in mind. I'm up at any given time of the day. I just have to make sure I'm robed up before I head outside, and I'm good to go. Here's my buddy Nick after a surfing session. We've got an offshore breeze right now. It opens the waves up. Yeah, and I normally mow the lawn when the sun's up. That keeps me out of trouble. Hey, good morning, Nick. Did you get some good rides, man? All right. So in the view over here, I'm gonna, well, let's see, show you the sun appearing from this vantage point, right over the tops of the buildings. And on the horizon over here, we've got the beach renourishment team. Hey, good morning. Hey there. What's his name? Hi, how are you? Duncan. Good boy. Come here. How old is he?
He's about 5.
Oh, how sweet.
He's a little bit ornery.
So I meet a lot of interesting people out here. I'm going to zoom in right now. I've got the P1000. You'll notice the zoom feature coming out on the recording or the live broadcast. They're moving a submarine line and equipment in that to pump sand up on the beach. The beach renourishment needs to happen around here because the storms will wash the sand away. It's just what happens. So as it is right now, I'm not believing we live in a computer tower somewhere. There may be some kind of a sophisticated simulation that exceeds what I'm aware of. And I'm going to say it for this reason. I'm going to flip it around. I want to be on both recordings when I say it. Is that we don't know what we don't know. To be intellectually honest, if I were deceived, I would not be aware of it. If you were deceived, you wouldn't know. So the dynamic of interacting with a bunch of college students eating tacos, um, sometimes it's really cool and they're really wanting to know what I got going on. And other times it can be exactly the opposite. They're, it's a different social dynamic. They can have a posture of arrogance where they believe they know that we went to the moon and the official story of 9/11 is true, whatever the heck that is. It's impossible is what it is. So like I say, people largely believe the lie they want to believe, and artificial intelligence will help make that happen also, because there's going to be evidence even to get the Bible to say what people want it to say. So to be clear, there are Bible believers that are really not, as best I can tell, believing what Scripture says about the biblical creation being a stationary earth with the luminaries, the sun, moon, and stars, moving above us, moving above the stationary earth. So today, in the middle of the view is where the sun would have appeared from this vantage point. We can still see that's the bright spot on the horizon. And in the winter, it will appear way over there. Now, I've got video evidence of that. You can go to my channel if you want to, or my Facebook. And I've recently started to post some of my photo album, eternalperspectivebible.com, on my videos. Now, the link to my Facebook page is there. I believe Twitter is there too. If you're a researcher and you want to really find what I'm about, well, I'm easy to find. I'm easy to find. I hashtag my name a lot. And the reason for that is so that people can go there and check out what I do, what I'm about. The AI is so sophisticated that it actually knows exactly how many minutes I've been live on YouTube, on Facebook, what all my tweets are, everything. Now, the recording that I did yesterday, I may have inadvertently hit the wrong button. I may have done something, me personally, that did that. Or it could have been something else. I don't know. I'm not sure. I know that the topics that I'm covering, I will hashtag Elon Musk lies. I believe that tweet has drawn some serious attention. The water is one of the big evidences of the reality of the world that we live in. Higher is drier, lower is wetter, all over the face of the stationary Earth. One of the hashtags I recently did was I just hashtagged water. I want people to look at it. Look at water, what it does, the physics and properties of water. To look at buoyancy, buoyancy. Well, lighter than floats, heavier than falls. That works in the air too. Some people so arrogantly say, if you don't believe gravity is real, go jump off a balcony. No, I know that works. That's buoyancy, you big dummy. There's differences in density and mass. For those people that think themselves highly educated and intelligent, hello. I would say, do you know what a gallon of water weighs? It depends. That depends on the temperature. That temperature differential changes the state of water to either a solid, ice, where it'll float. It displaces, that's buoyancy. It displaces its mass and floats. Then if it gets hot enough, it'll turn into steam and drive turbines. The water seeking its level drives the power grid. Like I say, the density and volume of a given amount of water, let's say a gallon, changes with temperature. It drives the water cycle of the world, the hydrologic cycle of the world. A lot of people don't know that. So I thought you should. I've been mentioning it for a long time. The young man yesterday that I was talking to, I said, explain air travel. How can we travel around the world? I'll say, okay, here's what I've got for you. I've flown from coast to coast. Supposedly there's a rotation of 1,000 miles an hour to the east. On my way from here to California, my combined travel speed would have been over 1,000 miles an hour. And coming from California to here, my destination would be rotating away from me virtually 500 miles an hour faster than I was traveling, meaning it would rotate underneath me 5 days later. And then I get the response, well, gravity holds the atmosphere to the spinning Earth. I would say, yeah, in your imagination. Only. That's the only place it is. Pride is a powerful catalyst for deception. So a proud person is an easily deceived person. That's the way it actually is. It's not make-believe, it's real. There would be no level anywhere in this world if it were moving in over 4 different directions at a combined speed of over 1 million miles an hour. Starting with the most basic, that with 1,000 mile per hour supposed rotation, 1,038 at the equator, it would mean that South America, South Africa, apparently where Elon is from, he would have been upside down, showering and the water going the opposite direction as that shower I just showed you out over there. No, it doesn't work that way. There's up and down, not upside down in relationship to one another. All our interaction with water exposes the impossibility of the globe. One of the young men said, have you climbed mountains? My friend here is a mountain climber. He could see the curve. Yeah, right. Yeah, there's the horizon, and there's no curve on the horizon. 8 inches per mile squared can't be found, except in the imagination. That's where it exists. Let that sink in. I've got hundreds of hours of the audio Bible merged with the beauty of creation showing this. Some recordings or broadcasts are nearly 12 hours long, like from the Gospel of John to the book of Revelation. A little something to consider. Yeah, a lot of something to consider. Are you actually born again? No matter how many of these actual conspiracies you can figure out, unless you're born again, you won't even see the kingdom of heaven. Of course, if you believe that that's all a fairy tale, well, that's just not looking good for you. The wall that I got to was, why was there the inconsistency with my life? Why couldn't I stop doing what I believed I should stop doing? And why was I doing things that I knew I shouldn't be doing? I didn't have the power. Now that I have the power, passion, purpose, and eternal perspective, and the pleasure to enjoy it all, I'm grateful. Even though there's a lot of opposition to telling the truth. By nature, the truth is divisive. It's just the way that it is. The truth divides. And there's the truth in everything else. It doesn't, it's not based on popular opinion. Because quite frankly, the truth isn't popular. Yeah, I can fire that up later. Picked up a big stogie on the beach. My grandpa used to smoke cigars. Gosh, I'm so glad to not be smoking and all of that. And I'm not like shaking my finger at people who are or drinking alcohol. I would simply, for these guys that were very intelligent in their own minds, I said, are you brushing with fluoride toothpaste? He said, yeah, of course. I said, well, it's toxic. Read the label on it. Why would you put a toxic substance that's designed to impair your cognitive function? Why would you intentionally put that in your body? Because in your mouth is in your brain, ultimately. So I'm in a perpetual detox. I bathe in drinking water. I've got 5-gallon jugs that I fill up and pour into the bathtub and heat up some on the stove. And I'll use either Epsom salt, magnesium sulfate. Today I just did baking soda, a cup of baking soda in about 30 gallons of water with a quarter cup of coconut oil in there. I swallow a quarter cup of the coconut oil, and then that's brain nourishment, brain food. There's a battle being waged on our minds, on our intellect, our capacity to evaluate information. Keep in mind that AI knows a lot more than we do. So how will we decide what to do? How will we be able to determine that? Are we going to make our decisions based on truth? There was a software consultant I interacted with a couple years ago down at the Point. He said, "Why aren't there people swimming out here?" I said, "Well, I've seen an 8-foot bull shark in this area. And it's not a common thing, but one was caught, and it was a catch and release situation. They caught the shark. Good morning, ladies. They caught the shark, cut the head off, and turned it into fish food and crab food, part of the ecosystem. Just turned it back into that. Okay. I mention that because he was wondering why people were around but not swimming there then. I said, well, the other thing is it's feeding time. It's not a good time to be there. So Todd is his name. And very, very well-to-do individual, as I'm sure you can imagine. And I said, well, Todd, don't you think it's really important to base your consultation on the truth? He didn't want to hear about the Bible or the shape of the earth or anything else. Keep in mind anything else that shook up his worldview, that challenged that. In talking about conspiracies, I'll hashtag conspiracies. I've done it. I want to talk about it. 2 kids stealing a bike is a conspiracy. It's an illegal action by more than one person. It's a conspiracy. People are conspiring to do an illegal act. What do you call it when artificial intelligence is presenting a false reality to humanity and manipulating the population of the world, the weather, all of that, the logistics, all of that of stuff? High frequency trading on the internet is, on the stock market, is largely done with artificial intelligence. They figure over 60%. I would say that the other 40% is highly manipulated and controlled humanity through the TV, radio. Last night, Joni called me into the other side of the house, the bedroom where she sleeps in. We sleep on opposite ends of the house. How about that? Isn't that special? Well, anyway, she showed me this ship fire that happened, and she said, "Now watch this." And she showed me what she called satellite imagery. I said, that's high altitude photography. No need for any satellites. That whole thing is a lie. She said, why would they lie about that? I said, it's all part of the grand lie, the grand deception to give people the perspective of a godless cosmic Big Bang. She says, well, I believe in Jesus and I'm born again. I said, I know you say you believe in Jesus. I just don't believe you've been born again yet. Now that may sound like the absolute most harsh thing anybody could say to another human being. The reason why I say it, and I'll keep saying it, I thought I was born again until I actually was. That's why I say that. Not going to hear that at the storefront, hip, cool church storefronts where they got flowered shirts and fog machines and cappuccino bars and a 501c3 to muzzle them from telling the truth about the battle and the weapons of the warfare of our opponent, our opposition, the enemy of our soul. How about that? I'm zooming in on the where the sun is popping through the clouds. It's a hot spot, okay? And I've got a lot of video of what I call the local sun. It's not just how the sun appears, it's the shadowing, the way that the canopy of clouds appears as well. That's a really big deal. That's what indicates it's not 93 million miles away. So the book of Job says that the sun is in the midst of the clouds. And then, as I've been heard saying almost 1 million times, that the book of Joshua, God stopped the sun from moving. Good morning. And that's a big deal. Some people will say, well, the writers of the Bible, the authors of the Bible were sheep herders and fishermen. How could they know what we know now? Well, they had an advantage. As far as we know, they didn't have the technology that's deceiving humanity right now. At least it wasn't being put out on them. But we don't know what we don't know. We don't know how advanced previous civilizations have been, or how many puddles of water with continents rising out of them are there actually. We don't know what we don't know. I'm going to take this and flip it around. This is the Mar Vista, and I'm pointing down at Myrtle Beach, and I'm going to zoom on in. And I'm going to show you what happens with some moisture. We got the ocean of humanity out there. And then I'm going to zoom on in and show you some of the skyline. The yellow spot right there in the middle of the view is the Apache Pier. I believe that the sky wheel is just to the left of that building. Can't see it right now because of humidity. Got a couple parasail boats. The tidal activity in Myrtle Beach is like an hour, 45 minutes to an hour past here. There's a lot of water moving around. I'm going to zoom in on the tugboats and in that again. Well, it looks like they're going to fall off the edge of the earth, right? Well, not really. Myrtle Beach is right on the other side of that. I know that. I've been there. So this P1000 camera will zoom in 125 times. That's a big deal. People of all walks of life, literally, come from all over the world to come here to enjoy this area. I'll interact with some of them. We're expecting about 20 million guests here this year. With that in mind, that's a lot of people that will be considering their lives. There's beach outreaches from Campus Crusade. They call it Crew now. Interacted with some of them yesterday. It's pretty unpopular. One of the ladies I talked to, we interacted for a while, and she said she was Catholic, and I said, well, I was Catholic, and I said that's not a biblical Christianity. You should just know that. Take a look at the Dark Ages, the Inquisition, and all of that. She wanted to know what denomination I was. I said I'm a Bible believer. I believe God's word is true. All others are suspect, and I'm actually born again now. I told her some of that. So it's an unpopular thing to hear, to tell people things like that. They don't largely want to hear that. It upsets their world. However, would it be loving or responsible for me to know what I know and not expose that reality? That's why I do it. I care enough to do that. So I'm gonna go ahead and take us on back. There we go. Feeding time for the seagulls too. I'm going to end the recording with the P1000, and I'm going to take us back up on the to the car there. Feel free to call anytime. My anytime number is 1-843-504-1776. All right, so I'll take a couple of pictures. It's kind of pretty. The local sun hashtag is a big deal. There's a lot of very interesting video there. So I'll take us on out. This is also a test to check out the connectivity of the system here, the infrastructure. We're about to have probably a whole lot more 5G connectivity for autonomous vehicles and more. It's going to be very interesting. See, I can't stop that from happening, and I'm not all freaked out about it. I would simply say I'll make an effort to put in healthy nutrients in my body, and I'll mention some of that right now. I liquefy, excuse me, spinach, kale, chia seed, hemp hearts, apple cider vinegar, mixed berries, bananas, applesauce, apple juice, orange juice, anything else I want to add to it. When I get up in the night to use the restroom, if I've got some hunger pains, I may, if I'm just a little hungry or want a little something, I'll take a big gulp of that. It's high-powered nutrients. So the college students yesterday asked me, they said, have you ever done DMT? I said, why yes, I have. I've done acid. I've done my first acid trip. I was 5 years old. How about that? I'll tell you about that. Good morning. But what I'm going to do is put the camera back inside and take us for a ride. So, like I say, this is a very active area. It's where beach services comes through, a lot of it. What I mentioned earlier about my first acid trip being when I was 5 years old, what happened, I was on my way to school, kindergarten, and one of my classmates said, hey, do you want some cotton candy? And I said, sure. Now, this was in the 60s. I was like 5 years old or so. And I put this in my mouth, and I spit it right out. I said, hey, that's cotton. Yeah, and then the next thing I remember, I saw a car levitate and rev up and spin around. It's like a little video clip that I remember from time to time. I don't have any like flashbacks, or not like I'm not under the influence of it anymore. I mean, I don't take any illegal drugs now. I do like coffee. I'm good with that. The rather legalist pastor that thought I should get back on pharmaceuticals would say he doesn't believe in drugs. In fact, he doesn't even drink coffee. Of course, he doesn't do any of that now because he's too dead to do that. He got on pharmaceuticals and killed himself. He pastored a mega church of over 3,000 people and was dealing with depression. Now, I asked him, you know, when he told me I should get back on meds, I said, Bill, have you prescribed medication, or I mean, encouraged people to get on medication that have ended up committing suicide? He didn't answer that. He did get on medication and kill himself, though. And that's a sober reality. I mean, that was a street ministry started out in the early 80s that I participated in, that I actually was changed because of. I mean, that's where I encountered people that seemed to genuinely love Jesus, and I believe many of them were actually born again. See, I don't know exactly who is or isn't a child of God, and I can't tell exactly for sure who is or is not born again. What I can tell you is I'm born again now, and I thought I was a long time ago. What does that look like? Well, it's having the courage to tell the truth, even though it's going to be unpopular. There you go. It may sound really insensitive to even bring that topic up. But keep in mind, my wife Joni is going to leave me. She says that I'm deceived by Satan, yet won't present any evidence of that, any proof of that. So that's why I'm telling you about that, because it's part of the reality of my life experience, and yet I'm not all depressed. Now our son Austin called me yesterday. Father's Day is coming up, and he just wanted to know how I'm doing with all of it. I said I'm fine. I don't want Joni, your mom, to leave me. I want her to change. I want her to be different. I want, you know. So that's the point of it. When somebody is actually born again, there should be powerful evidence of that reality. If it's not there, that's a problem. In the context of the biblical family, it should be where the husband is the leader, the wife is submissive, and that goes over like a Led Zeppelin, like a lead balloon in today's humanity. Women are empowered with a whole lot because of the passion that men have for physical intimacy. Women hold the cards. Sometimes men want to just circumvent that whole consent thing, and then we've got rape, and then we've got the pedophiles, the pedivores, and the Illuminati that are sexually perverted and activated beyond anything that should be happening. But they're, as best I can tell, Satan's children. So I'm exposing that too. On my liked video playlist, I've got a veritable kaleidoscope of actual conspiracies that I talk about. Now, here's what I would like to have you consider. You could do a word search. I'm sure you've done it. You might be able to find some of the content, or maybe even a lot of the content that I found. There's a shell game, a hiding of the truth from some, and then the presenting of it with others, to others. How does that work? Well, it's very clever. All the social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, it's all heavily AI operated, just so you know. I'm being solicited by chatbots, and I don't use one right now. There are autoresponders for commenting, and you can set programming like to respond favorably. It's all kind of interesting things that can be done. Well, I'm not using it. And one of the reasons why I mention that is because my friend Matt Prosella mentioned that he can't keep up with the comments and messages, and I get that. That's been happening with me for a long time. ODD TV is Matt Prosella, and he's created a lot of content that I've shared and really appreciate. There's a bicycle sitting there. Why? That's just not right. It's not the normal thing. I don't know why. But so now we're going up over the Intracoastal Waterway. See how it's slanted? So I can't show you to the right very good, but I'll be able to show you to the left, and I will. I'll show you both. Can show you the both directions. See how we can see that better over that way? That big flat shiny spot is the water, and that's what it does all over the face of the earth. It seeks level. That's one of the tests. It's the empirical evidence of our reality, part of it, not all of it. The physics and properties of water would be one of the powerful evidences and clues to the reality is far different than the official narrative of NASA and including Elon Musk. He's lying about launching a car into space, best I can tell. Now, if we are in a simulated type of reality, I don't even know how that would work, because this all seems very real to me. If we were in a computer program, then he did it. He launched the car into the imagination of the space between your ears and the hive mind of humanity, much like the original moon landing hoax that we're commemorating. I won't say celebrating. Joni's birthday. She was born on July 20th, but in 58. And then 69, and she was 11 years old seeing the moon landing hoax. Now, when I was 7 years old or so, I believe that's when I realized that the Santa Claus was a lie, that Santa lies. It's a very clever groupthink deception that was perpetrated on humanity, weaving materialism and consumerism and then a fake God, an all-knowing, jolly old chap with flying reindeer going to deliver presents if we're good. That never happened. It only happened in the imagination. That's why I bring that neuro-linguistic connection to the discussion. It wasn't because I saw flat Earth memes. When I found out that the Santa was a lie, I wanted to know what else. What else are you lying about? And it wasn't just mom and dad. It was the whole system of weather presenters saying Santa's been seen on the radar. Here he is on the radar, flying over Lake Michigan. No. I've had people say they saw their flight path on the where they traveled, that we live on a globe. I said, where did you see that? Said on the screen in front of me. I said, well, they could never fake that, could they? And that's part of the disconnect. People will say, yeah, AI is way more powerful and way more computing power than people. What will we need to create a God that we can live with? Are you kidding? It's runaway. It's already happened. That's why I've featured it. That's why I talk about it. How long I'll be able to talk about it, I don't know. Oh, my address can be seen you can see the number on my mailbox. Big deal. AI knows who and where I am, everything, almost everything that there is to know about me. The most important reality that it's acutely aware of is I'm a child of God that's actually been born again. And I'm not afraid to live, die, or tell the truth. That's why I do this. There you go. It's a water retention pond. I've got it in a lot of my video. At this time of the day, when I pull into our neighborhood, there should be, oh, that was a little close, eh? Oh well. Yeah, how about that? Anyway, when I pull into our neighborhood, we should have the fountains should be off, so the reflection should be real pretty. I would think they'll be pretty quick off the line. They should be. How about that? So the things that used to make me upset don't much anymore. Most of them. What upsets me more than anything else is deception, and yet I understand that's an important part of the reality of the world we live in. Is that there's deception, and then there's the truth. And what's very clever about deception is it incorporates a certain percentage of truth to make that very complicated. Just so you know, I normally don't give them the look. Oh, they're behind me. Could be a neighbor. That's funny. That is funny. Yeah, they're turning in. I'm gonna turn into the strip mall. I want to show you something. It's pretty funny. I had this on my recording yesterday that ended up getting wiped out. Like I said, I might have done it. It might have been my fault or something else. I don't know. I have a video of the concrete slab being poured for that structure right there. They had a laser operated screed that they call it, a troweling leveling system. The name of the video was Concrete Seeks Level. So I think what I'm going to do is put it up here. I'm going to stage it the way I want it to look, and then I'll show you. Let's see, I think it's something like this. So I haven't talked to these people yet. I don't even know if it's still active and open. Globe Communications. It's just an example of how ubiquitous that logo is, how it's so prevalent. It's all over the place. Then of course we've got the plane mirror. There I am holding the globe, apparently not. But then what's typically presented is North America right there. That's kind of like a big deal, isn't it? The United States. It's one of the military bullies of the world, and that's why I show the reality of that. Somebody can take a picture of that. You could send it anywhere in the world if you wanted to. You could do that with your own business card if you want to. A lot of times I think of things in those terms differently than a lot of other people do. Oh my gosh, there's a little bunny playing with a mourning dove. That's funny. Now the little bunny seems to think that if it just stays still, it's going to be okay. There he is in the bushes. I'm gonna show you because it'll illustrate a point. Here, I'll put these on for right now, my hazards. I think the bunny went under the shrubbery. Oh, that's a baby mockingbird. How cool. How about that? I'll show you right there. Oh, that's a teeny little one. I don't want to scare him out into the road or something. But anyway, a little bunny that stands still, thinking it's okay, um, that's a pretty easy target for an osprey. I see him get hit around us. Here we've got the Fireball booze bottles. I'm so glad that I don't have that addiction anymore. Why would I want to put something in my brain that's going to impair my cognitive function, my motor coordination, my speech? It activates the dopamine receptor, which is never satisfied. That's what makes addiction work. It's never satisfied. How about that? Isn't that special? So that's why it's a big deal. When I was talking to these college students yesterday, and I've said this before, I wouldn't trade what I have for all the money in the world. Whatever Bill Gates has, Elon Musk, Logan Paul, PewDiePie, doesn't matter to me. I'm good to go. I don't need that stuff. I don't. So what Jesus says to everybody forever also is, what will it profit a man if he gain the whole world and lose his soul? How about that? That's one of my favorite verses. I've been asked that a few times. What's your favorite verse? Well, that's certainly one of them. I've got a lot of them. I'm going to show you something kind of interesting. Do you feel yourself spinning, wobbling, or gyrating? There's the Elvis the Pelvis porta potty right there outside of the house. Yeah, the movement of the earth has never been proven. That whole porta potty Elvis thing is where I got the do you feel yourself spinning, wobbling, or gyrating? And we don't have toilet water flying out on people in Australia because of gravity. Well, hello. It's just water seeking its level. Now I've got a little parking spot I can pull in too, and I'll show you that. I'll show you the pond right here. There's signs all around us. Signs all around. I'm going to show you a couple of them I find really interesting here. Good morning. So once again, we've got the liquid mirror. I started the broadcast earlier today just down the road down there. I'll take us back there. This is the lakes at Plantation Pines. Look how pretty that is. It's a liquid mirror. Here's one of the signs. Alligators. We had a 12-foot alligator here. Yeah, it killed a couple of swans. Now, back in the day that scripture was authored by one author, the creator of the world, we had scrolls and scribes and quills. That's why I talk about that. Now we have digital worldwide portable instantaneous communications and turtles checking me out, wondering what's going on, what's happening there. Okay, so private property, no swimming, no fishing permitted. Well, I'm not doing any of that. But what I wanted to show you, I can step on over here and show you the reflection of the sun there. Kind of pretty. See how the symmetry of that is? It's a plane mirror is what it is. And then we've got the lighting and symmetry of all the reflections. Absolutely gorgeous. So when I'm washing the car and waving at the people and getting things ready, that's all part of it. We've got construction going on in the neighborhood. Some people have pulled over and said, hey, I can't find your channel. And then other people will find it within seconds. Is it their technical ability or is it something else? Could be something else. It could be that, you know, like if you sit in a room full of people, each with a personal device, you've got the same word you search, you're going to get different results, guaranteed. I know that. How different will they be? And that's why I was saying you can scroll through my playlist and say, yep, found that video, found that video, found that. Oh, that's one I didn't find. That's interesting. One of the topics I'd like to bring up, and I'm going to flip this around so you can, I want to take us right to where we started out today. One of the reasons why I bring this up is that information can be pretty valuable. Did you know about this or that? AI being self-aware could interrupt the power generation, electrical generation, and or distribution worldwide. That's a big deal. What would happen if we had no electricity, like I said earlier? Well, that stops power, that stops the climate control. No big deal when it's 70 degrees out. How about 110 below? We can't handle that. What about when it's super hot? You know, if you lived out in Vegas or Barstow, California, you might be able to handle it with shade in some areas that have low humidity, but where it's really sweltering, a lot of humidity and that, it'd be pretty tough. It'd be pretty tough. A lot of people would die. If we had no electricity in the United States for a year, there would probably be 90% of the population would perish. Okay, so in case you missed it, there's the beautiful reflections right there on the car. There's mirrors all around. As water reflects a man's face, God's word reflects a man. So I like to put my water in the sun. See how that magnifies the car? It'll magnify the sunlight, catch grass on fire. I'm not careful with that. That's why I put it on non-combustible surfaces. Isn't that pretty? It's just part of the reality. So, like I showed this morning, I was out on the road. The sun looked the brightest there. Apparently that's where it rose. And then it's moving this path. Wow, it looks very pretty, of course. And then yesterday it dropped over here. That's where it vanished. Now, in the winter months, it'll come up right over there and do this. That's what it does. That's just the reality of it. So when I was watching this, and I had watched this for years, and I remember looking back in my memory of when I would be riding dirt bikes and that where we lived. I knew where north, south, east, and west was where I lived, and I remember the seasons, and I remember the movement of that. Well, now being aware that it's the sun, moon, and stars that move above the stationary Earth, that makes a lot more sense to me. We don't have wind chimes hanging upside down in relationship to other wind chimes. It's pretty calm right now, pretty still. I could have had this as one of my thumbnails for the video I did last night, but the moon draws a lot more views and it's pretty fascinating. That's why I feature it so often, and the sun as well. It's beautiful. I don't know how it works. I don't actually need to know. Keep in mind though, when NASA is telling me what the temperature it is and that it's 93 million miles away, I'm saying, well, only in the imagination. That's where that exists. How about that? So that's where the globe exists, only in the imagination. I think I'm gonna, let's see, what am I gonna end the view with? Yeah, I think this will work. Let me. I don't know if it reverses my my video when I do it like that. I can't. My arm's not quite as long as I'd like it to be for that. But oh, I know what I can do. I'll. Yeah, this will work. Thanks so much for your public and private encouragement. Feel free to call me anytime. This is Robert Forsch. If you hashtag my name, it'll send a powerful message to AI. Thanks for that.